Here. And we are live in 3, 2, 1. Bow. Hello, everyone. Thank you all for joining. And yes, I know it is a rarity, but we are on time.
Fine, we're on time.
We are on time. Yes, it's the top of the 4 minutes is totally okay. That's within the window, right? You know, like when you have a job and you have like 5 minutes to clock in, like we're still in that window where we're not late. So, as you already know, because you are on this stream, this is the Average J's podcast. Thank you all for showing up. This is where your two best friends talk to you about the pop culture news you might have missed this past week. And we know that we missed last week, so we got 2 weeks to make up. So we got a decent amount of stuff to go over. Plus, if you stick around to the very end, we are doing another After Dark this week. So, without further ado, I am Jay Justin Ruiz.
And I'm Jay Jeremy Francois.
Okay.
Sorry for the nasaliness. I'll speak as clearly as I can.
It doesn't sound too bad. You're good. I think you're fine. So before we get into the docket, couple housekeeping pieces of news. So this is episode 99. So tune in next week for some fun little changes to the stream and the show for our episode 100, like extravaganza. It's not like the 100th episode we've recorded technically, because we've done like the Talking Heads interviews. We've also done spoiler casts. So, but those we kind of...
Which we need to get back on.
Yeah. So, but we consider those like a separate entity. Like we're talking about 100 episodes. Like 100
missions.
Exactly. They're side missions. So this is... Next week will be the 100th episode of the actual weekly show. So we do have some cool little surprises. We have some updates coming your way. So if you want to tune in, you will be pleasantly surprised. But before we get into it, besides that, we also have, remember, our Patreon is live, patreon.com/theaveragejays. You can go there and support the show. Everything that you do there goes to keeping the lights on for the stream. Whatever we do get in is extremely helpful. I mean, even if it's just liking, subscribing, sharing out on the social medias, that works just as well. But any amount that could come our way through Patreon would be a blessing. And we have I guess like we can start talking about it. I think we mentioned it before. So in 2 months, month and a half, right? Jay will be at Brooklyn Con in New York.
Oh, I was like, what are we talking about? No, it's in 1 month.
It's in 1 month. So it's, no, you're right. June. It's the first weekend of June. Right? It's
June, yes.
June 7th?
8 and 9.
June 8th and 9th, Jay will be at Brooklyn Con, pushing Sky Surfer Comics and, of course, the show. But you can go over there to get his latest issues of the Alien Heroes as well as Napoleon from the Machine. So go check that out. We'll also link Sky Surfer Comics in the description, so you can go check out the storefront.
And my brother Teddy. How
could I forget? So we have those, and I believe that's it. And let's I think we just go ahead and jump right in.
Jump right in.
So this week we have a couple of TV and movie news selections. This one's a little more current, obviously breaking the other day. Mufasa, the prequel to The Lion King, has had its very first trailer. I see it as a teaser. They said it's a full trailer. Whatever.
I see it as a teaser as well.
I had here's the thing. It gave us more questions than answers, right? I mean, that's what a trailer's supposed to do, especially a teaser or something like that. The actual animation looks amazing, just like the original. Just like the original remake,
the original live action.
live
action,
the live action in 2019. It looks just as well as that one, but I don't know. I just don't know yet if I care about this. It seems cool. The premise is nice. I'm just very okay, I just need more, right? In the trailer, it is just animals. We got a little voiceover narration from Rafiki, and kind of just saying, this is Mufasa, he's an orphan, and that's really it. And we have a couple action scenes of Mufasa as a young cub and a young adult, kind of running through. I mean, the cast is kind of where it stops heads. They made a really big point in showing off that Blue Ivy Carter and Beyonce will be in it. Beyonce is reprising her role as Nala, and Blue Ivy will be Kiara, which is the daughter of Simba and Nala. And Simba will also be reprised by Childish Gambino, Donald Glover. So he is coming back for the role. We have a couple other heavy hitters. Keith David is going to be Mufasa's dad. Aaron Pierre is going to be the younger version of Mufasa. And then who else? We had a full casting list. Seth Rogen and Billy Eicher are coming back as Timon and Pumbaa. One thing that should be noted is this is going to be it's a story told through flashbacks. So there are, I guess, the current characters, you can call them, right? Timon, Pumbaa, Rafiki, Simba, Nala, all of those are going to be in the present time, and they'll be telling the story of Mufasa, and that's how we're going to get this origin of him. So it seems cool. I'm hesitant to say that I even care about this. I want them to do a good job, obviously, but I just need more from it. I do like this original take, this original story. I feel better about this than I did about the original Lion King. So I just have a feeling that there's going to be a little more passion, a little more love put into this because it's their own thing. I guess that's my hope.
Well, yeah, and then just to clarify before you get canceled, when he says original Lion King, he means the 2019.
Yes.
And question, because it's been a while since I refreshed my knowledge palette. In the straight to DVD or straight to home video, there was a Lion King that was a prequel, right? That had a young Scar. Who was the story about Scar?
So there was two. There is the in-betweenquel, which is Lion King 1.5, which told Timon and Pumbaa's story, how they met. And then there was the second one, which had the daughter of Simba and Nala and the son of Scar.
The son of Scar. That's why I confused it. Okay, that's why he looks like that. Okay, because I always thought that was a prequel. But anyway, I would like to say I agree with you on that when it comes to this teaser. The only question I have is, I know there are cold regions in Africa. I'm just trying to there's a moment in the teaser trailer where they're in a ice cave, and I'm like, where is there ice? Unless they're in South Africa, like you would have to go deep south for that. and when does the story take place? Like because they're humans. I know they're humans around. But anyway, I guess they'll answer it, or it's fictional, and we'll just let it
It's
be.
just movie
It just
magic.
threw me off. It's just movie magic. It just threw me off because I was just like, I thought we were gonna spend time in the jungle, in the wild and stuff,
Hmm.
and well, in the arid wild and hot wild. I just was not expecting like that, but then it could make sense to where uh, Mufasa could have come from because that in the trailer they showed white lions, and I was like, okay, cool. So I think they'll play with it. So it's like you said, it's something that's original. I'm not like going crazy to go see it, but there's a possibility I have a time to just head over to the theaters and pop my butt down and watch it. So yeah,
Yeah, this is one of those where like if I have the time and I have nothing to do, that's when I'll see this. It's not I'm gonna buy my
I think
ticket
I
to be
saw.
there, you know.
Yeah, I think I saw the first movie in theaters. I just don't recall. I think I did. I think I did.
I definitely saw it in streaming. I think I saw it on Disney Plus. Like I didn't even bother going to the theater.
That's what I'm thinking. That's I'm
Yeah.
like, did I see it in streaming or did I see it in theater? So yeah.
But yep. So sticking with the House of Mouse here, but moving over to the Marvel section, you weren't the only one upset with Thor Love and Thunder. Chris Hemsworth was pretty upset about it too. So
Was
in an interview with Vanity Fair, he brought up the kind of like wacky, just like the overall wackiness of his character and the freedoms that he took on set. And he was saying that he got caught up in the improv and the wackiness, and I became a parody of myself. So he said, I didn't stick the landing, and he can't forgive himself for that performance. And he said that he feels he owes fans another film. I mean, yes, to a lot of these things. Like, yes, he was too wacky. I mean, we also know that the suits had a hand in this movie. This wasn't Taika's like fault entirely. Like, who knows the amount of direction he was really able to give, and who knows what got chopped up on the back end. So we can't fault him 100%, but I do think he owes the fans another outing as Thor where he redeems himself because
yeah. Look at Cars 3. It did a good job.
yep.
Like I love that. Never really cared to see Cars 2. I don't think I did. Saw Cars 1, then saw Cars 3, and I was like, wow, what a turnaround. I think if he does do another Thor movie, it should be his last and definitely deliver. I would even want to redeem, but again, the suits probably wouldn't allow it, but I would want to redeem Taika because his name has been dragged in the mud. And
Yeah.
it wasn't his fault. It's just name is tied to it.
100%. I think I would love for that duo to come up and like actually deliver a strong outing. Yeah, I want him. I just want him to send the character off correctly. Like, I mean, we've talked about it before. I'm not going to get into it, but he should just become a background character, like an Odin. Maybe traveling the galaxies, and Jane Foster should be pulled up as like the main Thor. But I mean, it is kind of
Or
like
just leave Thor alone because if they're not planning to renege on their decision. If they killed off, I would love for Jane to be alive, but look, they made the decision to kill her off. Just that's it for Thor. Just kill it off. That's it because I don't think it's fair
mhm,
for the other characters have to have great send offs and Thor
mhm.
is still being muddied. Like everyone still has the opportunity to like even Star Lord, for those who haven't seen it, minor spoiler, he's like done. Like his character's done. He came back and he's living his human life. Like he's kind of done. Like if they want, the Guardians are still going, but Star Lord is done. So Iron Man out of the big three, Iron Man and Cap like left the scene, and Thor's still gallivanting. Unfortunately, making himself stupid. And when I say him, I mean the suits.
Yeah,
So
it's just I want that closure for him, right? We've gotten closure, and even for stuff like Spider-Man, right? Like it is a closure point, right? Like let's say if Tom Holland's never able to pick it back up. We know that they're working on Spider-Man 4. We know he's involved, but I'm just saying if he wasn't, right? This would have been an okay point to let it go. Right?
Yes.
He didn't even get that. Like this isn't like Love and Thunder was not an okay point. We also had like a weird cliffhanger of like, is Valhalla a real place? Like with Jane Austen and Heimdall like chilling there, like Jane Foster, not Jane Austen. Like there's just so much like that we're not getting answers for, and it feels like they're never gonna touch. Right? This is in line with other things that we've seen with Marvel. We've complained about it before, you know, White Vision and, you know, Scarlet Witch and all these other like big plot holes that have just not been addressed going on 5 years now.
And we did say this is just going to be a minor point, but since we're getting on this mini tangent, first, for those listening or watching now, we would like to know what you guys think on this. Like, leave comments below or just chime in whenever you get the chance in the future. Talking to future you people. But it's funny because me and my friend was talking about Ant-Man, and we've talked about you said, what if they killed off what's this girl's name?
Wasp.
Not Wasp. I was trying to figure out her
Evangeline Lilly?
Wasp. No, the character, not the actor.
Oh. Her.
Yes, her. So like if they killed her off, it would have made him go into Yellow Jacket, but my friend brought up a point too that we didn't. I think we discussed it, or maybe we did. So killing off Ant-Man would tout up, Kang as even more of a threat because that he is an Avenger. So it's like, but unfortunately, you would not have seen that Jonathan Majors was going to get allegedly, but then now proven that he did do the thing he did was going to ruin the franchise. But I still think personally that they should still keep the character, but find another actor. But I'll leave it at that. We can wait another time to talk about that.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, listen, I think the best thing that they could have done to progress everything, like universe, character, and like through line, would have been kill Wasp, have Ant-Man go crazy and become either Giant Man or Yellow Jacket, right? And have him maybe even scour the quantum realm to try and like figure out how to get her back, right? Like have him turn into the mad scientist and have Hank Pym have to now train his daughter Scott's daughter to like become Ant-Man and like Ant-Woman, whatever.
Especially since they were like kind of touting up Young Avengers. But again, we're in a tangent. We can do this all day.
We can. And you know what? I agree. Robert X26 in the chat. Oh. I agree. The animated universe is going to take over for a little bit. Like with the success that X-Men 97 is having, with the success that, I mean, animated shows on Disney Plus have had, like also like talking about like Star Wars and stuff, it does really well for them. So
yeah. Well, speaking of the new Star Wars Tales series coming this Friday, because May 4th is right around the corner.
So, it just sucks that we're not getting the same quality from the big budget stuff that we're paying to see, right? Like, these are supposed to be events, and they're just not anymore.
They're not. And we've had our gems, and I would like to agree and disagree with Robert. The animated universe in both DC and Marvel has already been taken over. They've just always been great. It's been such a great template and the comics. They've been such a great template for live action that they're fumbling it a lot. Yeah. And I can't use comics now because again, the comics are now advertisements for movies being DC and Marvel. But then that's just another conversation for anyone that's listening wants to come at me and say the comics are still great, which they are, but
they are. And I mean,
your opinion.
Definitely DC animated universe has been killing it for the past like 20 years, maybe even longer. Like,
oh, you're including the movies too.
Yeah, like if we include the movies and shows, like we're talking maybe on the better part of 30 years that the animated universe has been you know, obviously
Since
they
we've
have
been
their,
alive, basically.
yeah, well, yeah.
Well,
Well, I mean, if we have the starting point of Batman the animated series, right? Like
92.
from then to now, they've been killing it because they're using that like platform, that channel to deliver stories that we want to see. And yeah, they're not always perfect, but I would say the majority of DC's animated properties are pretty freaking good.
Yeah.
But moving on to one of Disney's legacy projects. Wink wink, you see what I did there?
Ah.
So Tron Ares, the latest outing for Disney and Tron, they have confirmed that Jeff Bridges is in fact returning, even though he wasn't a fan of his de-aged character in Legacy, which at this point is 15 years old, which is bananas to think about. You know, he's been a staple in it since the original 1982, so he's going to be there again. And I'm assuming, you know, I mean, Clue is like not a thing anymore, so I'm sure he'll just be playing his normal character of Kevin Flynn. But it's nice to have that validation that he's going to be coming back to the property.
Yeah, it would be weird that he wasn't in it, and because I know what's his name, Jared Leto is in the movie. I believe he's like the main character, but you can't have Tron without Jeff Bridges.
Yeah.
Two of my concerns: Jeff Bridges' age, because I know he had like I don't think he had like a battle with cancer. Maybe he did. Like he had health issues a while back, but I hope like either if they do a send off, depending on how this story goes, it's a well deserved send off. And I hope he's in the. So this is not just two concerns. I hope he's in the movie a lot longer because look, Tron would not have happened without him. And I want to know more about his son. But if the story's taking place within the digital world, Digimon reference, then it makes sense to not care about what's going on in the real world. But the way Legacy ended, Olivia Wilde's character is living out there. And I remember reading after seeing this news on Jeff Bridges, because there's an image of him online if you guys look it up. He is reading the script for the third Tron movie. The story's supposed to lead into AI, which is a good time to make this movie.
Yeah.
So Tron, the first Tron and Tron Legacy was already AI driven, but because they're trying to like focus on that, that's something that I'm pretty interested in seeing. And Jeff Bridges kind of piqued my interest a little more for Tron, even though I was always a Tron fan. Having him back, it makes me feel good.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's a step in the right direction, right? I don't really know what to expect with Jared Leto and the whole like, it looks like they're setting up Evil Tron kind of deal, right? So I don't really know what to expect from this. And we all want.
Oh, I don't want to see Evil Tron though.
I mean, but yeah, it's kind of like what it's gonna be.
Evil. He was already evil in the second movie. Like he was turned. He wasn't evil, but bring him back. I want another evil person.
I mean, okay. I mean, maybe the character's name is Ares, right? I mean, it is Ares. Excuse me, but like. It's gonna be it's in Evil Tron. That's what it is. I can't imagine that it's gonna be anything else. We have them donning like the red colored suits now, so it kind of feels like they're a virus again, and like Tron's gonna have to go in there and save them. Like I don't know. What we want is a continuation. We, as in the royal we, right? Like everyone, moviegoers. So we all want to see the continuation of Legacy. But with this huge time gap, it just might not be possible. And while Jeff Bridges is like great, I mean, he is Tron. He is literally like the reason for the season when it comes to Tron. Like, he needs to be there. I'm hoping that the story follows suit. I'm hoping that the story is good, because Tron Legacy was awesome, and then they dropped the ball on it, right? They didn't have that confidence. And another good thing that came out of, so this is Jeff Bridges confirmed this on an episode of the Film Comment podcast. So he confirmed all this, and he said that this outing is actually going to be more practical effects than CGI. So that also makes me feel happy. So two good things. We got Jeff Bridges and practical effects. So just hammer it home with the story.
Again, even if they weren't doing practical effects, it would make sense because it is in the digital world. Like whenever things exploded or things happened, they got de-resed. If for those who understand what I'm talking about, there was no like blood unless you were an actual user or a real human. Um, and I'm forgetting the actor's name who played Tron. Well, the original Tron. He was in Legacy in the human world. I would like him to come back again. If they're focusing mostly in the digital world, it wouldn't make sense for him to show up. But if they do go jump back real world and digital world, I would like to see him come back and play that role.
It would be fun, but we shall see how it all nets out.
We shall see.
One last nugget of TV news before we head into the video game stuff. So Netflix is apparently working on a new live action Scooby-Doo show. Now, to me, this is interesting for one main reason. Velma is over on HBO Max. Velma season 2 just dropped like a week ago, I think. It's doing better than the first outing. For those of you that don't know, the first outing was like...
Well, you say better, but I don't think it is significantly better because it's still like, according to the internet, trash. I haven't seen it.
But here's what I'm trying to say though. It went from like a dog poop bag on fire to just like a dog poop bag. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, so it is marginally better because you would rather it not be on fire and in front of you, right? If you have to just deal with this bag of poop, you're fine. So that is the comparisons right now. Like it hasn't redeemed itself, quote unquote, but it's gotten better. So this is interesting because, you know, the whole thing with Velma was it was super hyped up. It was very like, it was waited on by a lot of people. People wanted to see this, especially with Mindy Kaling being Velma, you know, being a showrunner for it, and like that was her project, and then it absolutely hit the fan immediately. And then, you know, season 2, funnily enough, like I didn't hear anything about it until it dropped. So
yeah, and then you saw that image of Scrappy Doo, which again, Scrappy Doo. First of all, Scrappy Doo is one of my favorite characters within that realm. And then I love the pup named Scooby Doo. So I know those are two different characters, just a young Scooby. Just seeing them, you know, baby dogs doing their thing. The image I see is like, I don't know if it's ketchup or blood of Scrappy Doo.
Oh no, it's blood.
This. And I'm like, why is it? It is blood. Did you see the episode or?
No, like, so I saw like the extended clip with Scrappy and like that whole scene. Like I saw that.
Yeah.
I won't give this show like my views, and unless I get told, hey, this thing is great, you need to go watch this, like I'm not gonna give it the time of day, because I did it with the first season and I couldn't make it through. But I saw the whole scene with Scrappy and what goes on, and like, you know, he gets, I don't know what brings it on, but he's like visceral. He's like a vicious dog. Kind of seems like maybe he's possessed or like something otherworldly is going on, but yeah, he's attacking. That's blood.
It's weird because like the show I always thought was, when weird things happen, it was all in Velma's head. So I thought it was just a realistic show to a certain degree. Yeah, and I remember watching a bunch of those episodes. I don't remember how many episodes there were, but I was like trying to like get through it, and I was like, it fell off. Maybe I got to the end, didn't care for it. Oh wait, Shaggy is also in there. Shaggy's played by this dude. Yeah, I don't know.
I just couldn't do it.
I can, like, you know how I used to like, well, I still do. Like I would say, yo, guys, you gotta watch Agents of Shield. Like I can't even push this forward. Like,
yeah, no,
there's nothing redeemable about it. Like, even though like some people may not watch Agents of Shield, they know it got better after. Where like at the end of season 1, where this doesn't, it's just not good at all. I came and carried on my back, bring it to the forefront.
No, not at all.
I'll I'll always die on a hill for Agents of Shield, but this one I'll let it stay on fire. I'm sorry.
And
Sorry, not
just
sorry.
to answer Rob's question in chat, so Evil Scrappy is not canon. So the original idea of Scrappy was like it was a whole different Scooby Doo show, right? So it was Scooby,
Yes.
Shaggy, and I think Velma chimed in sometimes, but it was Shaggy and Scooby, and then Scrappy came along, and then later on Scrappy kind of got folded in with the rest of the gang, but
Yes.
it was kind of like a new character, you know, like series like add characters to kind of breathe life. So Scrappy was just like
And sell toys.
yeah, Scrappy was just like randomly showed up on their doorstep, and that's they say that it's Scooby's nephew, and he's just kind of like always down for a fight, but he's not evil in the original cartoons. And then yeah, in the live action movies back in the day, I think it was 2002. Yes, you find out Scrappy is evil there, and then maybe Velma season 2 Scrappy, maybe they're doing like a little homage to the live action movie, but I mean, he's not supposed to be evil. He's supposed to just be down to fight. Like he wants to scrap. He is scrappy. So it was just weird. But this news of a live action, it's weird that it's coming to Netflix because Scooby Doo is a Warner Brothers property. So I don't know what kind of dealings is going on in the back end for it to come to Netflix and not be on Max or Discovery, whatever it is now.
Yeah, it's weird because it's like when I think about stuff like that, like for example, not Riverdale, but what was the Sabrina show that was on Netflix, but
Yeah.
still done by WB. There's some sort of connection because I find that weird. Netflix is taking liberties with certain things unless they're Netflix taking the role of like risk taker. Like we'll take your risk because think about it. Avatar: Last Airbender is the live actions on Netflix, which you would think should be on Paramount, but you know the animated.
I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, the animated movie that we're getting, I believe, is
It's
gonna be
going to
on Netflix.
Paramount.
If not,
Oh
it's going to
no,
Paramount. Okay,
the
I'm
animated
trying to
movie I
think
think is
because
coming to Paramount.
yeah, because I was wondering if they're gonna put. I thought it was gonna go to theaters, but I highly doubt that. But yeah, it's just weird. So I think it seems like Netflix is like, hey, we'll be your risk taker, and it won't cost that much money, even though Netflix would be making the money.
And I mean, I'm sure they'll make money on the back end or whatever somehow, some way. Like I'm talking about like WB, but
Yeah,
I guess you might be right. I think Netflix might be making a living being like, hey, use us as a testing ground. Like, the surefire stuff you keep on your own, but if you want to test out the efficacy of a new version of whatever property, come here, test it out, and then you can move forward somewhere down the line. But yeah, maybe that's exactly how it's gonna go.
the reason I got drawn to that conclusion is because of obviously it took a long time for this to happen, but the Netflix shows for Marvel, like the Daredevils, the Punishers, all like look where they are now. They're on Disney Plus. Not that Disney Plus existed at the time, but let's say it does well and the licensing stops for Netflix, that Scooby Doo show will just end up going to HBO.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
And I mean, as of now, this is all reported on by Variety, by the way. And as soon as this broke, fans are going crazy. They want Matthew Lillard to return as Shaggy. He has been the Shaggy since his original outing. He's returned
Shaggy staple for live action.
But he's also returned in a bunch of other mediums as well. He's done the voice like countless times in different cartoons and specials, as well as like movies and video games and stuff like that. He's been the one, like, he wants to return as Shaggy. He loves that character so much. So I mean, I feel like it's like a Jason David Frank, RIP situation, right? So in Power Rangers, they used to bring him back all the time, like randomly for things. I feel like this is kind of the same thing that they need to do with Matthew Lillard. Like, maybe he's Shaggy, or maybe he's like older Shaggy. Like, I don't know. He has to do something to where he can still have this character as his own.
Yeah, unless like the new kids are like, let's say they recast, you got the original like characters,
Mm-hmm.
but Shaggy's dad is Shaggy because they're just Shaggy characters. I don't know,
Oh,
I'm making
I
this
could.
up as I go.
Yeah.
So he's technically Shaggy, but his son is Shaggy as well. But there's the new mystery team. But
Mm-hmm.
it's not like it's not like Daphne and Freddy's kids. They're no, these are the same kids, but Shaggy's dad is probably the only parent we see because he'd probably be the more popular one. Or maybe what's his name? The guy who played Freddy, why Freddie Prince
Freddie
Jr.
Prinze Jr. Yeah.
Right? It's funny. He's Freddy. Freddie Prince Jr. could play Freddy's dad. He's like your Freddy the Third or Freddy. Yeah, like they could
Yeah.
play on that as they just get these actors in and out. Look at this. I just made them some free money. Jesus.
Bro, show
talking.
me old man Shaggy with a Scooby tat running a sandwich shop.
Like,
running a sandwich shop.
Old man Shaggy.
Running a sandwich shop for the new kids. Give me that. And I'm happy.
It'd be like what do you call it? Rocket Power. He just has his own like shop.
Yep.
Like
100%. But this one seems like it's going to be a little more dramatic. So it is being penned right now by Scott. Oh, no, excuse me. Executive produced by Josh Applebaum, who, nope. I'm getting this all mixed up. It's been written by Josh Applebaum and Scott Rosenberg. Josh Applebaum was executive producer on the live-action Cowboy Bebop, and Scott Rosenberg wrote 2018's Venom. So definitely a way more dramatic approach than the typical Scooby-Doo. So apparently this is supposed to be 1 hour episodes, and it's going to be a drama and live action. So probably more aimed at like older viewers and stuff like that. Maybe people who grew up with the property rather than trying to get in new younger people. But I mean, I would like to see it done right.
Yeah, I can see it living in the world of like if they do it right, Stranger Things. Because you got kids, depending on how old they are, you got kids doing Mystery Machine. I would love to see a young a pup named Scooby Doo aspect. Like they're kids, they're not like teenagers. But then it's like we want the Mystery Machine, so they could be like in high school, so they can drive. You know what I mean? Like there has to be that middle ground. Give me that Stranger Things, but obviously, like maybe here and there, maybe they could play with the fact that there are supernatural things happening, but not too much where it's like Stranger Things. We don't want like completely left field like murder happening. Just basic the government is embezzling money type thing and they're using a monster. Like I need something. I want my classic like removing the mask thing. But maybe they do come across a mummy who's actually real. I don't know.
Well, I mean, they can.
Let me watch the show.
Netflix is primed to bring in another mystery thing like that because Stranger Things is ending. If this comes out after Stranger Things is done or within that same window of the final season, this
Super
is now
8 vibes, yes.
Oh yeah, Super 8 would be great. Yeah. Have these
Thank you, Robert.
These kids kind of dealing with a supernatural entity that is like not normal, right? Like these monsters, whatever it may be, where it's like that's not a normal staple in the world. This is them being like, oh snap, we have to figure this out. And I mean, I would love some pup named Scooby-Doo. Like, I don't even like wackiness, I guess is what comes to mind. But like pup named Scooby-Doo, like antics would be fun, like that, just like a little bit of kid comedy thrown in there along with the drama and like crazy stuff that's happening around them.
Don't give me Riverdale. That's all I ask.
Give me what Riverdale was supposed to be, which is based off of the Riverdale cartoon from the like late 90s, early 2000s.
Comics?
No, I mean the cartoon.
Like, it was like Archie's weird mysteries.
But it was a cartoon. I think it was just called Riverdale.
No, Riverdale is the place they lived in, which is in Archie Comics.
I know it's the place, but it's not. Yeah, it wasn't called Archie Comics. gonna tell you right
No,
now.
no, Archie Comics is the cartoon that we grew up with is Archie and Archie's Weird Mysteries. Like that is something I would
Was it Archie's? It is Archie's
like.
Weird Mysteries. Yeah, yeah,
I watched that and Sabrina Teenage Witch cartoons. It was in the same like
yeah. It
theme.
was. Yep.
So like, give me that. But you
Yeah,
watched that show.
I used
So,
to
like that's
love
what I
that
mean.
show. Like I watched that
Yeah,
all
like
like all the time.
before Kids WB lineup, it was like before the Saturday
Mm-hmm.
cartoon started. Like that, like give me some of that because at the end of the day, all the weird stuff that were real, like the supernatural
Mm-hmm.
or the aliens, sci-fi stuff, were real, were dealt with, but then they still lived their normal lives.
Yeah.
So,
So it was like in the bubble, right? Like this stuff happened. It always happened in the town of Riverdale, and it was just those kids were privy to that stuff going on, and they had to figure it out. So, but yeah, give me that. I think that would be a winning formula for them to exit Stranger Things and bring on this new thing that has a fan base already. It's Scooby Doo. Who doesn't like Scooby Doo? Like, and give us a cool dog who does stuff for Scooby snacks. Like,
what I would like to see, just give me like I'm gonna just end this tangent here. Give me Scooby Doo meets Supernatural, and we don't have a talking dog. We have a German Shepherd named Scoobs, and they're traveling all across the country as a group, defeating demons, ghosts, ghouls, all these things. Angels falling down on Earth, and they have to deal
dude,
with it. This mystery team has to defend the United States from these demons.
no, we can't have
I
that.
did too much, didn't I?
Yep. That leaves the door open for
A German
CW.
Shepherd named yes.
It leaves the door open for the CW to just swoop in. Whoever's left from the old guard of CW to knock on the WB
Yeah.
Discovery doors and be like, "Hey, let me take this over." And like then, 2 seasons down the line, they're gonna be going into literal hell defeating demons. Like we can't have this again.
Scooby Doo's collar is just like the pentagram, just like, and he that's how he talks when he has the pentagram on.
Yeah, we just
But he
we
doesn't talk
can't.
like Rutro. He just like barks and then like words come out. I don't
Yeah.
know. That is such a CW thing though.
We can't. As much as I would like to see something like this play out, they would just play with it too much. um,
And this is
so
our sandbox now.
so leaving the world of movies and TV behind and jumping into our virtual world of video games. First thing up, in the past 2 weeks, a major development happened with iPhone and the mobile gaming sphere. So Apple finally has lifted its ban on emulators on well, Apple has lifted its ban on emulators running on iPhones. That was a mouthful.
Yeah.
But emulators are now available on your iPhone. The most popular one of the past 2 weeks since the ruling happened is Delta emulators for the iPhone. It is a massively easy interface. It's simple,
such a hit.
clean. It's awesome.
It's such a hit because I'm seeing it when, like, I downloaded it and I was like, how do I get games? But you just go to an emulator website and download games. Um, I saw people in the train with it. People, again, we talked about this off air. Like, I would love to play Pokemon. It would just be for the nostalgia. My only beef, not necessarily beef, my only conundrum is it won't be real in the sense that I can't. Maybe like if we met up and we could play, I wonder
Mhm.
if that would work if we could play through emulator.
I have
That
no
would be
idea.
cool. But I sure no one. Well, people probably still have access to their GBA games, and maybe that can work. I don't know what the technology is behind that, but you would have to do some crazy hacking and modding to do that. But I think it's dope. One of the things I've always told Justin to, complete my childhood and grow up, I have to finish Donkey Kong 64. I used to be a pro. I like almost 100% of the game as a kid, and I didn't know what I was doing. I just did things and just got to the end. It's like the Banjo Kazooie or the Super Mario games of the time. And now it's on this emulator. I downloaded it, but the only thing that sucks is that the controller is not the way, obviously like a Nintendo 64 controller. So my sleight of hand playing the game is not great. but the nostalgia is kicking in, and I do feel it when I play the game. So
Yeah,
yeah,
for me, I put on a bunch of like GBA games and classic Game Boy games. So as soon as I got it, I started playing Pokemon Pinball, the first one, the one for Red and Blue, which I don't know if anyone remembers. Definitely dating myself, but came out for Game Boy Color, and then the actual game cartridge had a battery compartment that you could put like a double A in, and that was a rumble pack.
I remember that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I remember
So
that.
like, you know, I got to replay that, and then I got the GBA version, which was Ruby and Sapphire Pokemon Pinball. So been having fun with that. I also downloaded like Mario Super Circuit, Mario Kart Super Circuit, and Wario Land, and um, Zelda Minish Cap because I never got to play that one. So it's
That's a good one.
there's so many good things here, and I think the best part is like I'm a Switch owner. I have the online stuff, but they don't have every game, right? So, for example, those
Exactly.
Pokemon pinball games are not on there. So, this is a perfect platform to get that for. But
Which is why I find it weird that look, Nintendo. It's weird. I don't know if they have to jump through hoops because they own those things. I would love them to port them a lot faster, unless they're really working on another console and then they're gonna put it towards that. But they can still put it on
I mean, they
that you were
definitely
saying.
are. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
I
they
don't know
are.
what the holdup is. And what's cool about this emulator is that it works for a multitude of platforms. So we already mentioned Game Boy Advance, as well as Nintendo 64. But you could also play, I think it's Sega Saturn games
Yep.
and
Yeah.
PSP
So as
games.
far as PSP, PlayStation 2, PlayStation 1,
Yep.
Xbox, like all those things, and all those controller mods that Delta designed themselves is on there. Again, with DS, I think there's other
Oh,
parts you have
NGS.
to
Yep.
download for it. Because there's a game that I've always wanted to own and play,
Mm-hmm.
which I played before, which is the Jump Festa, because it's kind of like it's not Jump, it's called Jump. It's called Jump, like Shonen Jump. It's just all the
Mm.
Shonen characters. It's like Mario Smash Bros, but with the Jump characters, which
Oh,
is
that's cool.
popular on like PlayStation, on that. But on the 2DS, it's like side scroller, so it looks
Mm-hmm.
uh like a Smash Bros game. But that requires a second screen, I think. Not necessarily, but there is one for DS. There's one for GBA as well, which I think is dope.
Yeah.
So yeah,
So
I think it's a hit for
dude,
the
this was
iPhone.
great. I'm happy that it exists. I mean, I have to also, I know we spoke about it off air, but we have to figure out if the backbones are compatible so we can kind of map their layout to the actual controller, and then you have a mini Game Boy or a mini PSP again. You know, like all these things are like it it made me so happy when this happened, and I just went into like me and Erica together sat there and just went through pages and pages of ROMs to
I'm
see
sure
what
we went to the
games.
same emulator. We went to the same website.
Definitely. So it was just such a like flood of nostalgia. It felt so cool to be doing this again. So I'm sure it's gonna
Can't wait to play
grow.
with my Nintendogs again.
I'm sure it's gonna
Just bring them
continue to
back.
grow in popularity. As you mentioned, with like the multiplayer support, if this gets enough traction, if people are, if that player base stays constant, I'm sure they'll start putting in that support because other emulator sites and like modding communities and stuff, like they're able to set up servers and like have these games host online and stuff. So if this is backed enough, I can see that happening. I mean, we're in the early days of it, so it can't happen now, but in a year or
And
two,
speaking
maybe.
of modding, yeah. And speaking of modding, I did download some uh, offshoot Pokemon games. Like there's like Pokemon Ultraviolet, which is like Mew on the cover,
Mm,
because some of them. One of my friends at work, he bought a modded Game Boy Advance, like the classic Game Boy Advance, and then a modded, I believe it was Fire Red, where you play as all Team Rocket, uh,
mm,
your character's Team
that's
Rocket. So the
fun.
build is not the red hat; it's like you have the black hat. You look like a Team Rocket. And in the mod, they changed some of the text, so it
Hmm.
plays like you're playing. as a Team Rocket character. So they changed a lot of those things. It's still the same flow, but it plays like that. And then
They changed the
yeah,
story
there's a lot of
around
mods.
basically.
It basically changed the story around so it plays differently. So I can imagine, which is dope. Like you, whoever's like, if you're a writer and you could code as well, you just do that.
Yeah.
Like that's so dope.
And you can put it out to like, you can have a bunch of people easily play your thing. I mean, whether you make it for free or for not, you know, it is what it is. But you can upload it to a ROM site and people can play it on the go wherever they are. Like it's a very easy distribution channel where you don't have to jump through hoops, like you know, to get onto an e-store like a PlayStation Store or a Nintendo eShop. Like there's no real regulation, so you could just upload it and people could play it immediately without having to download anything extra or having to be like worried about the computer or anything like that. Like it's readily available.
Yeah, 100%. I'm trying to before we move on, I would love to see if I do get the Backbone and if I could download it on my Apple TV because I did mirror it to my Apple TV, but it's again I can't play looking at my screen while on my phone because again I don't feel the actual buttons.
It's not tactile.
That's why like I gotta get the Backbone just for that. I have to stay looking down. So what I was doing this. Well, for people on the screen, I was doing this watching TV, and I was like, "What am I doing?" But yeah,
got you. Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of really cool possibilities here. But moving into the video games, to other video game news, the first one that we're going to talk about is pretty massive here. Like,
yes,
we are huge fans of Funkos. I mean, we knew that this game was coming, but this is the first time we're getting a real look at it and the different.
I didn't even know that. Did we talk about this? Or I don't ever recall. This was news to me today.
Really? I mean, we had. Yeah. I think we covered it back like. Maybe we just covered it as rumors or something, but I know that we covered it before. Like I know this was not like the first time we've spoken about this. Or maybe it's just me. Maybe I just knew about it. But Funko did release a announcement trailer for their new game, Funko Fusions, and it has a ridiculous amount of IPs. So, as you know, Funkos have, you know, behind us, you can see me and Jay's. Funkos have a bunch of different IPs under their belt, right? So they have everything for like Warner Brothers with like DC and like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, stuff like that. They have Disney, there's Marvel, there's, you know, Star Wars, there's TV shows, there's music, there's everything under the sun has a Funko Pop now. But this video game is kind of attempting to combine all these worlds. Now, it's interesting how this comes out because I don't know if you remember, but we covered this back when it was announced for Fortnite, and Fortnite did that big tease with Disney. So this is right after the big update where they now included this, you know, the music game, the racing game, as well as the Lego world building kind of like Minecraft killer game. Mm-hmm. But they also announced this huge collaboration with Disney and all these different worlds and stuff. We didn't get to see really what it would be yet, but we got to see that there's going to be Star Wars, Marvel, regular Disney, Pixar. It's all going to be included in the Fortnite world. And now it's kind of like a really nice taste of what the Ready Player One universe could look like, right? Like everything in a one-stop shop. And now Funko, on the other hand, is doing this under the guise of like Universal properties. So all of the properties that they're showing off, all of the ones that they have right now are...
There's like 60.
Yeah, they're all under the Universal umbrella. So you're not going to see Disney, Marvel's, you know, Star Wars. You're not going to see it here because that directly competes with what they're doing over on Fortnite. So here, it's fun because everything looks like a Funko, right? It's that
yeah. So what it looked like to me,
caricatures of the characters, you know.
Or it didn't. Not that it looked like, but it reminded me of Lego, like the Lego games. That was like
Yeah.
my first thought. I was like, "Oh, this reminds me of Legos." And
Yep.
just to quote my friend who said, "Funko's going after Lego's neck because it's like that's what it is. It looks like that." I thought first expression, I thought it looked cool. Like if it's free, I cop.
It looks cool. I'm definitely gonna play this. Like day and date, I'm going to play this game. Now, they're definitely trying to come after Lego with, like I said, Lego has this massive undertaking with Fortnite where all your Fortnite characters, including all these other IPs that have now joined joined Fortnite, are Legoized in that world. And it's a huge world building thing all happening under Fortnite. So you do have access to your Disney characters, you have access to your WB characters, and now, like I mentioned before, they're gonna have a bigger outing with just Disney altogether. So here, this is literally like the flip side. So instead of Lego going with Disney, this is Funko going with Universal. It is the battle of the theme parks happening again, and in this quick like trailer that they gave, they threw out some heavy hitters. I mean, Jurassic Park, Jaws, Battlestar Galactica, Hot Fuzz, The Mummy, Nope. So Jordan
There's one that
Peele's
stuck out for me the most,
Back to the
and I
Future,
understood that you said
which got me. Um,
that's not it.
what else? What else? What else? Chucky, Umbrella Academy, The Walking Dead, The Thing, which was like I didn't think anyone cared about that anymore. Um, Walking Dead,
John Wick.
Invincible, which was wild, and what else? Shaun of the
John Wick.
Dead and John Wick. Yep. So
That was the
there.
one that threw me off. Like I was like, no way, he's beating everybody.
Oh, and they also did with He-Man. And
Yeah,
what
that was a
else?
good movie because he took out the sword and everything.
Mm-hmm.
That was cool.
They. So these are like legacy properties that are gonna get people of all ages. So we're talking about people that like pop cultures, people who grew up with pop culture becoming this behemoth that it is now, starting with properties like He-Man, Battlestar Galactica, even Jaws, right? Seeing these blockbuster movies and properties grow like with them, now there's a whole new way to interact with them and to interact with all of them in one spot. We don't really know what this game is yet. We don't know what the story is, but this is enough to get people's attention. You know, this is to see all these characters kind of like quote unquote playing nice in the same sandbox is it's pretty massive. It's a big deal. And everyone that likes
No,
these
it is.
things, they also like Funkos. Like what's not to like about Funko Pops? The little statuettes, the
My
bobbleheads, the merchandise.
it was funny. There was one scene. It probably happened in multiple scenes. It was the popping of the heads. Like they just like if they
Yeah.
got killed, their heads popped out. But one thing that I really would love, this kind of takes me back to the days of the Game Boy Color. And just bear with me for those listening. If you used to play Yu-Gi-Oh, you can scan your card and it uploaded into, or you put the number of the card
Mm-hmm.
into your game, and then that card was part of your deck. Now, translate that idea towards Funko. What if I want to bring these characters into that world? As of now, according to the trailer, it's only like 50 or 60 Funko characters. But like later on, when they, do more work, I forget the word that it just escapes me, but work on the game. I would love to throw Luffy on his ship on there, and that's like that doesn't mean there could be multiple Luffy's. There could be one with like he's in Gear Second or he's doing Red Rock. Those are different Luffy's. So like I can have a Luffy with the Sunny or the Mary, or I'll have like Zoro who's like bleeding out there, and then I have another Zoro where he has his like three swords out. Like it would just be dope to like put a number or scan the box because it has barcodes in them. So it's like why not? And the people that have like stuff that they don't make anymore, like that shelved their molds were shelved, like they would be the cool kid on the park. They're like, I have Spike Spiegel from Cowboy Bebop that no one is gonna have because you can't find that anymore. So it's like that would be cool. I would love to see that.
Yeah, and the cool thing is they could pair this again. They're gonna be somewhat restricted because I don't think that they could have all of the properties. Again, some of these things are tied
Oh
up,
yeah,
right?
understood.
Like they're tied up in all these different legal agreements, and this thing owns this and whatever maybe. But they already have, you can have your virtual collection on the Funko app, right? You literally scan your barcode, enter it in, and it'll say, okay, you have this. And you can have your digital collection and just whip it out whenever you're trying to like show off or when you're at a convention or, whatever it may be. And translating that into like a digital space like this where you can kind of like play around with them or like have them walk around or maybe even decorate a virtual shelf or something, have them in different poses or whatever.
Yeah.
My mind kind of goes to Smash Brothers for GameCube Melee. So Smash Brothers Melee, when all the trophies you got to kind of like set them up as you got them. So what if there's something similar where you can have and they could be animated and doing things together in this big open play space. And I mean, this is going to happen on a rolling basis. They're going to have to add these things as they make agreements, as they have collaborations. But I mean, just starting off there with those properties that they have, I'm sure I have a couple that I can load in that align with those properties, and maybe I can have them just chilling in my own virtual space. So that would be really cool, and it makes it a very approachable concept for the normal person or for the average person. So they already have this toy, this physical thing. Let's just make it so that they can play with it online or on their console or on their PC or whatever. It's very interesting, and I'm very much for it. Okay, now moving off of that and getting into some other stuff. So I know this was been talked about, this next thing here. Star Wars Hunters. So Star Wars Hunters has, I don't even remember when it was announced. I feel like it was like a couple years ago.
Hunters?
Yeah, it was first announced in 2020. Star Wars Hunters. It is the free-to-play, like, it's a team-based battle arena. So it's Star Wars meets Overwatch. That's exactly what it is. And, they have
got it.
A cast of different characters that are all, like, different races from the Star Wars universe. This was announced back in 2020. It was supposed to come out in 2021. And it's been plagued with a bunch of delays and just a lot of non-information. I completely forgot about this thing until today, where they popped out the release date and they gave like a cool little snippet of what it's going to be with the reveal trailer. So I was like, okay, cool. Like, I didn't even know this was a thing. I'm happy it's free to play because that means I'm going to get it. I'm going to try it out. I don't know if it's going to hook me because I've never been one for like that Overwatch gameplay, but maybe I'll care about it because it's Star Wars. But you got everything from the Mon Calamari, which is like the Admiral Akbar people. You have Jawas, a rebel hero, a Wookiee, Rodian. What's a Rodian? Is that the it's one of the bounty hunters. Then you have a Jedi droid, you have a dark side assassin, you have a Mandalorian, an Imperial trooper, bounty hunter, a droideka, and a trapper, a Trandoshan trapper. Trandoshan, I think, is that like lizard race thing. But you have all the different archetypes, that would work in this like Overwatch world, from your medics to your heavies, and everything in between. And I mean, it seems cool. Go check out the reveal trailer. It's coming out on June 4th, so literally right around the corner. and it's going to be out on Nintendo Switch, iOS, and Android. I feel like the Switch is a perfect place for this. It's a little more colorful than you would think. It is. It plays in my head the art styles in between Overwatch and Fortnite. So I think the Switch is a perfect place to start up from, and then maybe port it out to the bigger consoles if this thing gets traction. But yeah, I mean,
All I see is basically Disney making money on this because Disney has this, and then they also have the Marvel's rivals. So it's like,
yeah.
what's next?
Somebody walked in. Somebody walked into a meeting 5 years ago and was like, Overwatch, we got to do it. And they were like, we're getting everyone on it. And, you know, it's,
That's literally how it happened.
It would not surprise me if next month they say, like, coming to mobile platforms, we're getting, like, a Disney Pixar battle arena game. Like, it would not surprise me whatsoever. Especially with, like, because the Lorcana stuff and all that taking off. Like, it would make sense.
It would combat. So you see how WB has their like Smash Bros with their WB property. Disney would have their Smash Bros version, and then Paramount's like, oh, we got to get back on that game, and then they start looking at their Nick characters. They just got to get back on the Smash Bros game. Like they're just trying to topple Smash Bros, but Smash Bros at the end of the day still reigns.
I mean, it's. I guess it's kind of like, I don't want to say easy money because this is free to play. We don't know how long it really took them to put this out the door. We don't know how much manpower they used / wasted. So, because maybe this could have started as a AAA game and then they pared it all the way back to what we have now. So, there's no idea. There's no way to know, rather. So, I mean, but I'll try it out when it drops. I mean, I'm gonna probably install it on my Switch and just have it ready for day and date, and then jump in and see if it's fun. So, moving on from that, earlier this week, or when was the 26th? Last week, technically.
It was last week.
Yeah, last week. So last week, Fallout 4 got a next-gen update. So, Fallout 4, just for everyone who doesn't know, it was Bethesda's last main line entry into the Fallout series. It came out in 2015, and now it brought the 2015 original game all the way into 2024 with a next-gen update for consoles and PC. So, obviously, this came at a great time. This was a calculated move because of the Fallout series. With the popularity of Fallout on Amazon Prime, like, people want to return to Fallout 4 and New Vegas and even 3. You know, there's even talks about remaking 1 and 2, which were, you know, PC games back in the day. But the main difference here is that in the quality mode, it is it's going to be played at 30 FPS at 4K resolution, and performance mode takes it to 60 FPS with 4K resolution and dynamic resolution scaling. It looks beautiful. Plain, simple. It's going to look great wherever you're playing on, whatever mode you're on. I'm kind of upset that it took this long, like, for it to get this next gen update. I was a huge fan of Fallout 4 when it came out. I put easily 200 hours into that game over my time of playing it. But I think it deserved to wait earlier, but I get it. I understand they kind of wanted everything to line up with their media calendar, right? So, and it's a huge win. It gets everyone back in the seat for that. We're supposed to be getting more information on Fallout 5, like, in the coming, you know, hopefully months. But it's a great time to jump back in and reignite that passion and have fun in that space again.
There was a news article or a couple of blurbs that in Europe, probably specifically UK, but in Europe, there was a large increase in playing the game because of the streaming show as well. So
Hmm.
it is a good time. So, like you said, it was well calculated.
Yeah. So there's also new quest lines and new gear. So it's not just this like up-res kind of like, quote unquote remaster or anything like that, but it is extra content now as well. For a full breakdown of everything, like the things to do as well as like the like patch notes and all the extra content and even like the PC stuff that you can do to it, you can go over to IGN.com and they have an article on the five biggest changes in Fallout 4's next gen update. They list out everything you can do there, but I did want to touch on this because I loved the show and the show has had an awesome response, and this does not surprise me about how many people are ready to dive back into the Fallout universe. So, last piece of news on the docket, we did kind of like touch on it earlier when we spoke about the Switch 2 possibly happening, but we do have an update of sorts on the Switch 2, as well as like everything that we have on hand, like all the information that we have on hand so far. So the latest rumor, which makes sense if you followed the Switch 1's like launch and all the leaked information and stuff like that back when it came out. But apparently the Switch 2 is going to have magnetic controllers. Like if you know your Switch history and Nintendo history, originally the Joy-Cons were supposed to be magnetic, connecting to the screen. That's actually where that sound, the little like that clicking sound, that's where that comes from, because it was the sound of the controllers attaching to the main screen, so they kept that sound and kind of played into the UI. So apparently this is from a Spanish outlet named Vandal, and cooperated by a third-party Switch accessory manufacturer named Mobipad. So they said that it's going to have magnetic suction-based controllers. This is all based on the third-party manufacturer. And I mean, it kind of makes sense. Like I said, this was the original thing. They scrapped it because they couldn't make it work. The controllers would come off too easily during gameplay. So if they were able to figure that out for this next generation, then I get it. But as of now, beyond just the magnetic controllers, we have some info that is like kind of stacked together. It kind of makes me feel better. Right, so there have been numerous reports that say that the console is on the horizon, so it's literally coming up. Last year, Nintendo reported that they were targeting a 2024 launch. We don't know what it is. Like, I assume that that's not going to happen because we're in 2024 already. We're coming up on midway through the year and we haven't heard anything. And the latest that we got is that the launch has been pushed back to 2025. So March 2025, apparently. Again, we're not in those rooms, so we have no idea like what exactly is being said, and this is all secondhand information after these stockholder meetings and all this like high up Illuminati gatherings of Nintendo, right?
Right.
So I'm hoping for that March 2025 drop. If that is true, we're kind of steadily approaching the window where they have to say something. Like,
yeah,
we're less, if that March 2025 rumor is true, we're less than a year out again. So we need they need to start teasing something. So there are rumors that Switch 2 might be backwards compatible. We're hoping that it is. I don't see why digital stuff wouldn't be, but the big question right now is the cartridge-based things. It's unclear whether or not the accessories are going to be compatible with the new model. So all the Joy-Cons that people have, like if that magnetic suction technology is true, they might not work with the next Switch. Maybe they'll be able to connect and you can use them, but they're probably not going to be able to connect to the screen themselves.
Yeah.
So
I think that's cool. And then I could imagine just for like, I thought it was such a great design when the initial DS, the VCR DS came out. They had a port for the GBA game, so it would be dope if there was a cartridge for the Nintendo Switch if they decide to upgrade their cartridge. It could still be a cartridge, but or in the within the same slot, there's a space for the original Switch, and then for the new Switch, kind of like how the Game Boy Advance could play GBC games as well as the GBA games. So you can still do it. It can still work if they're sticking with cartridge. But then that makes me think of when they decide to upgrade, like, are they going to still stick with cartridges? Because Blu-ray holds a lot of data.
So I feel like they're going to have to. So in those rumors again, like they said that they would be keeping the cartridge slot, whether or not that's going to be the same cartridge that the Switch is, like over to the Switch 2. We don't know if there'll be compatibility there. I would have to imagine there is, but maybe they'll have 2 slots, maybe they won't. But another thing that I want to kind of put in with that pushback to March 2025 is apparently the reason for this pushback is so that Nintendo can stockpile supply so that they can actually release with a good number of consoles. You know, when the Switch originally released, it was really hard to get one. I'm sure they learned some lessons from the PS5 as well. Like, they don't want to be caught in a situation where demand is so high and they just cannot meet it with their supply. So as of now, the latest rumors that we have about it is that it's coming out March 2025. It has magnetic controllers. There could be a sticking point with physical cartridges, and there should be backwards compatibility with digital releases at least. So, a couple of things, you know, I know we touch on this every couple months, so just with this controller news, I wanted to bring it back up. So, with that, we are all set and done for the docket, and we can roll into the weekly wrap. Jay, what have you been watching, reading, and playing?
I've done nothing. No, I'm just playing. So, what I've been watching, I'll just skip to the P. I did not play. I haven't played anything, but that's a lie. Actually, I played the Delta, and we were just talking about it. Well. I've just playing Donkey Kong 64 for the nostalgia value. Then now I'll skip it. That's all I've been playing. But watching Fallout and Avatar, because you keep telling me to get through Avatar. I'm on episode 7, so we can talk about 4 and 5. I can see why you're miffed about those 2 episodes. I was a little
no. I wasn't miffed. I wasn't miffed. I was pissed. I was
okay. Yeah, he was
absolutely pissed.
He was between miffed. He was between miffed and livid. He was pissed. Yeah, like I can see why. Maybe they could have done something different, because when I saw those happen, I was like, well, One Piece did something similar, and we talked about it. The difference between both shows, with One Piece, they had to go through 60 episodes, 50 to 60 episodes. With Avatar, it's what 20 episodes for season 1.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, so they could have changed some things. I did like one thing that threw me off. I didn't believe that Aang flew to the Fire Nation stronghold to go see Roku. I was like, "There's no way," because having watched the show, like he needed a squad. But because think about it, he was flying over. Weren't they getting shot at? You watched it again, so you watched it recently. They were getting shot up with Appa.
Yeah.
When they were flying in, yeah. So like they would have seen this.
It was not an easy journey.
That's basically it. But look, again, I'm still enjoying it because it's making me want to watch the show again. Was the original, but it's not that this show is forcing me to do that because I'm like saying this show is whack. It's time for a rewatch.
Hmm.
Last time I watched it was when I put Gabby on, which was like 2020, 2021. So it's like it's time. I'm on my rewatch phase when it comes to certain animes. I just gotta finish them because I keep starting them and not finishing them. Fallout, I'm on episode 5 or 6. I forget where I'm at. I remember when it was announced and when it was coming out, when it came out, I didn't have any want to watch it because not that I was not a big fan for Fallout, it was just not my type of game because
Hmm.
it's so open world where it like again I don't need you to hold my hand in a game, but like give me like following the main quest. But then I guess that's the point of Fallout is just you can do some whatever you want. Um, but my thing is, I always love post-apocalyptic stories or post-nuclear stories. I love those types of stories. I'm surprised I didn't just start watching Fallout when it came out. Because when I watched it, I was like, I love feeling this way. Like even when I watch Mad Max, I love feeling that I'm in that world. And they did a good job with this budget. I don't know what it is compared to their other property for Ring of Power. I didn't even get through. I only made it through half the first episode and never went back to it. With Fallout, I was able to just talk through, and I don't know if I said the last episode we recorded, I finished Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Did I not bring that up?
No.
That doesn't sound. Well, I did do that. That was also an Amazon Prime original. Good show, by the way. I think you should watch it. Um, I if they make another one, I hope it's like an anthology, but that kind of gives it away. Maybe
Mm.
it doesn't. Um, it's I don't remember the movie a lot, but it does focus a lot on the relationship between both Jane and John. Uh, but anyway, I digress. Fallout is really good. I can get more into it, but I'd rather finish it so we can talk about it more in depth. And same with Avatar. Um,
I can't wait to
watching
finish it.
anything?
Both of them have such strong, like Fallout. I
No, but
think
you
was
said
pretty
this.
good the whole way through, but
Yeah,
both Avatar and Fallout have such strong endings where like it's like hell yeah.
yeah. And I believe that when you said it. I'm trying to think of anything else I've watched. I've touted up Kaiju number 8, the anime that just came
Mm.
out 2 3 weeks ago. I've been reading it since it came out, and I kept talking about it for years. And people are like, "Yeah, I'll check it out." I'm like, "No, you got to read it." But now, when they greenlit it like years ago, and now they're on episode 3, I'm gonna let it stack up. The animation looks so good, but I'm gonna let it stack up because I need it. I need it for my life. But I caught up on the manga because after watching the first episode, I was like, I'm definitely gonna catch up because I had like 10 chapters to read, really
Hmm.
good. Caught up on My Hero, the manga. So this is my reading part. Uh, One Piece, now that it's back after a month, you need to catch up. After I gave you that profile, please
I
catch up,
know.
please. Like so much is happening in the Egghead arc. You don't even know. Like I'm livid that you're not where you should be. um
I'm sorry.
oh, and I started a new manga which I kind of want to cuz after I caught up on Jujutsu Kaisen,
Hmm.
which is getting good right now cuz like lately it's just been strolling through but I just binged it just to catch up. I'm watching or reading a manga called Sakamoto Days. It's about an ex assassin who's like he's like the goat. He's like John
Hmm.
Wick, but it takes place in the present time where he's just like a chunky old like deli or like grocery store clerk, and he just lives a peaceful life with his wife and daughter. And then the story opens up where it's an assassin who has the ability of clairvoyance, so he can read your mind
Hmm.
every time. So he came in and he like in one panel he like gets killed by Sakamoto, but the clairvoyance character he's just like, why'd you try to kill me that way? Because he's reading his thoughts. But basically, Sakamoto doesn't want to be an assassin anymore because his wife would get mad. He's like, if you kill someone, we're getting a divorce. So that's why he's just like not killing. But he still uses his skills to like immobilize people. So that's only the first chapter. So like, basically, the other character, the clairvoyance dude, I forget his name. His I guess because it's like a mob. So they're just
Hmm.
like, hey, um go kill him because he defected all those years ago. But he's like, yeah, he's just a chill guy. He's just like, what is he gonna do? So when they try to kill the clairvoyance dude, Sakamoto rolls through, beats everybody up, and then and the way and he doesn't speak. He only speaks through thoughts. So whenever
Mm.
you hear like the thought, you see the thought bubble. He's just saying he never speaks, which is pretty cool. So after he beats everybody up, he just throws an apron. He's like, "Okay, come to work tomorrow." And I'm like, "What?" So it has that humor as well. So it's dope with action, and like it's something like you'd like. It's dope with action. And I'm in the second chapter now. Just like halfway, no, third chapter. Started from the beginning. Like his wife gets like in a bus jacking.
Mm.
So like she's man chill, and the robbers are like, "You seem pretty calm." For he's like, "Yeah, because I know he's gonna save me." And then like the two characters are riding a motorcycle, so Sakamoto's in the back, and he looks funny. He has such a like uh Saitama face, like from One
Mm.
Punch Man. He's just like man nonchalant. He's in the back just driving, but he notices his wife is in the bus jacking, so he stops the bike and turns it, and you see the action sequence take place. They get onto the bus. He's like, "Hey, you got to cover your face so you don't show your face." So he covers his face, and then he the last scene I've seen, he takes a pole and he stops the bus. Like it's because think of like what you remember that show that you told him about, which is the same title. He's like, "What you know about Sakamoto or whatever?"
Haven't you
Or
heard I'm
have you heard of
Sakamoto?
Haven't you? Yes. So it's funny because think of it, it's him, but like he could do anything,
Mm-hmm.
but he's chill. Like he like it's basically that. If you ever get the chance to like read it, find it online. Just read the first few chapters. It's pretty cool. But that's my new read in my stuff and my plethora of things to consume. And then watching, I saw. Uh, did I see a movie this weekend? No, I did not. I don't think so. I think that's it. I think
Okay.
that's it.
For
Yeah.
me, I haven't been watching a whole lot. It's been like a lot of like background shows and stuff. So when I'm going to sleep, it's either The Office or I restarted Parks and Rec. And then like dinner time or like hanging with the wife, we've been watching a lot of Jeopardy. So like we have months and months and months to catch up on. We've been recording it, and we just we fell off back in September, and now we're making our way. So we've been watching both regular Jeopardy as well as Celebrity Jeopardy. Love it. Again, one of my goals in life is to get just famous enough that I get to be on Celebrity Jeopardy, because I have the utmost confidence in myself that I could actually win that version. Like, it's still hard, and I'm sure being on Jeopardy with the buzzers and the people there and everything is a whole different experience. But like, there's like, I yell out in like, I don't even know, in like passion sometimes while watching that show, and I'm like, get me on there, I could do this. Like,
Unless they
so
have like a series for podcasts.
just
Like
podcast
it's a
host.
group of it's just podcast hosts. It's like this week on Jeopardy is podcasters, and then you're just like on it. And I'm the dumb one that's just saying anything. And you're like, no, Jay.
I
You must
could I could not. I mean, there's a lot of like
you
super
gotta
smart
carry the team.
podcasters. I cannot be put up against other people. Like, put me up against other famous people that like maybe don't know a lot. Put me up against them and I'll do great. Like, don't put me up against someone smart, because I'm gonna suck. But there's so much. There's so many questions that like I get it right. Like, I know I do. Like, it makes my blood boil that I'm not on that show yet. But one day, that's the goal. Get famous enough to be on that show, and then I retire. That's it. So I've been watching a lot of Celebrity Jeopardy as well as regular Jeopardy. Trying to think. I mean, random shows. I mean, like, me and the wife, we watch the Jersey Shore Family Vacation, so we're caught up with that. And we just watched last week, I think, We watched Anyone But You, which is a Sydney Sweeney movie that came out. It's on Netflix. So Anyone But You, and then the guy is, I forget his name, but it's the guy from, he's Hangman from Top Gun Maverick. That guy is the male lead, and it's a cute chick flick. Yeah. It's a romantic comedy. It's basically a modern Proposal, the Ryan Reynolds and oh my god, Sandra Bullock. It's a modern day one of those.
But the guy is older than Sydney.
Yeah, so he's older. They like, you know, quick like sort of spoiler moments or whatever. So they meet up, they have a cool night, and then they break and like don't see each other for like 6 months or something like that. And they come back and they hate each other. And then his best friend and her best friend, they're both their best friends that are separate are now getting married. So like they have to now be they're forced to now spend time with each other because the wedding is happening in Australia, and the whole wedding party is getting flown out there to spend like 4 days together or something like that. So, you know, it ensues, they hate each other, then they're trying to like, some of the family's trying to like parent trap them and bring them together, and then they're like, oh, you know what, let's just put on a show for them because we hate each other, but it'll make the weekend go by quicker. They end up together at the end, you know, surprise, surprise.
They haven't seen a lot of romantic movies to know that doesn't work. Like, come on.
But it was fun. It was super funny, very cute. Definitely recommend it. It's on Netflix, like I said. But I think that's the only thing of note that I've watched. I think I also rewatched Pitch Perfect, I think 2 weeks ago, randomly when I was going to bed one night. One of my all-time favorite movies ever. And reading, I don't do that, so I don't know what that even feels like anymore.
What is reading?
What is reading? And then playing, I haven't played a whole lot. My main thing, because I'm kind of like in a gap right now, the past like 2-3 weeks, maybe month, I've been playing Fortnite. So I'm caught up with everything in Fortnite right now. All the like, you know, whatever quests, weekly, dailies. I got all the avatar stuff. I noticed this because we brought it up a couple weeks ago when I first told you about it. They never introduced Sokka, right? But what's really messed up is when you do all the avatar quests, one of the last thing you unlock is his meteorite sword. So
no way.
Not only do you get his meteorite sword, but when you get Katara, when you get that costume, it comes with his like first like Water Tribe sword, the one that has like that knot at the end of it, the blue one that he gets from his dad.
Yeah.
So it comes like when you get her with that.
They're just throwing it in your face.
Dude, you even get a backpack with Momo in it. So everyone but Sokka has representation. The glider that you get at the very end of completing all the avatar quests is Appa. So then you can actually ride Appa. So literally every member of the Avatar gang and Korra from her show, they're all there. The only one missing is Sokka.
That's crazy.
It's like
it's crazy.
Pretty disrespectful.
And it's not like he's not my favorite character, but like that just because my favorite character is Team Avatar, and you can't have Team Avatar without Sokka. Like that's crazy.
I mean, I have to imagine that they're gonna bring in more characters before the season is up. Like,
they will.
They have to
bring in. They will bring in the Legend of Korra characters before.
That would be.
I know they would. Just
reckless.
Just to spite the people that are aware that Sokka's not in it.
Like
the Kyoshi Warriors, they would bring back Moon Princess just to hate us.
I could see like Azula and Sokka being the next two, right? And if they wanted to go crazy, we could get Sokka with and without the war paint, right? That he does. I mean,
you're asking for too much at this point.
But I really don't feel like I am, because when they did this with TMNT, although that was like a pack that you had to buy, you had the original 4 brothers, and then they came out with April O'Neil
But
and
like you
Splinter.
said, you just said it. The original four brothers. Give me the original Team Avatar. That's what that
They
Ninja
gave
Turtles Team Avatar. That's the same thing. Like you can't. It again. It's like I said. You
they needed
bring
a
in the
firebender.
TMNT, but Mikey's not there. Mikey's not there. Okay,
They needed
great.
a firebender for the whole thing.
Oh, non benders. Oh, and this is why season 1 of Korra was so detrimental. That's why the non benders bugged out because you just excluded a non bender.
I mean,
Speaking of different types of races and people, I'm disappointed that we're not talking about X-Men 97, but you get on that.
oh yeah, I haven't watched any of it. Yeah,
I got on Avatar because you get on 97.
I'll get on it this week.
Crazy. I need you to be in the same wavelength as the internet and me because, bro, it is. You need to go to therapy after that. That's all I'll say. And I'm sure you've seen the internet bug out. And if you haven't, I'm surprised you haven't been spoiled.
Dude, I've been dodging spoilers left and right. Like
on purpose or just haven't come across any?
So I haven't come across a lot. I've seen like scattered stuff, but like nothing like revealing. Images. Like I don't know what is happening. Like I know that I think it's episode 6 was like a really heavy one, or like really good or something, and then
it was really close. It was,
yeah. And then now, like I don't know if the season's over or like whatever the latest episode I know is another big. Episodes. Yeah, so the latest episode I know is another big thing, but I don't know what anything is. Like the one spoiler kind of thing I guess I know is that Cable is in the show. That's it. So I don't think that's even really spoilery. I think he's just in it.
That's not spoilery, but I'll say, it is. I'll say this: the writing is just so great. Someone asked me about the pacing, but I think it reminds me of the pacing of the original show, but it gets to the point real fast. Some lines like Black Internet was like, wow. Like there's a line that someone says, like, this person is from the Milky Way ghetto, and I felt offended. Like, wow.
Damn, that's crazy.
But the line delivers really, yeah. You need to watch it just to like feel the impact. I'm not trying to go on here just to see what. Oh, here is X-Men 97, and because we're on episode, 7 episodes are out. There's 2 episodes left.
Okay.
Tomorrow's the next episode.
Okay, I'm gonna try and catch up this week. I'll definitely watch it this week for sure. So.
And don't skip the intros.
No, of course not.
No, not just for the music. I mean, like, because they changed. Like,
I know that they changed. I heard that one episode there's 2 characters that weren't in one of the intros. So, I mean, okay. I know that that's a thing. I don't know what it pertains to or whatever. So, but
just watch it. And I don't want to blurt out anything spoilery.
Okay. So talking about Fortnite. So yeah, I've been playing that a lot. I'm all caught up in like the offerings for this season. They have the Star Wars event happening this weekend. They tweeted out a picture and it looks like Chewbacca is coming to Fortnite. I don't know if anything else is happening with it, but that is a thing. I think he's probably like the only one in the main cast besides like the droids that hasn't been in it yet. Like pretty much everyone from the main cast of Star Wars is in Fortnite at this point. So I also played a couple like smaller indie games. So I have Chicory, which came out a couple years ago. Beautiful, beautiful game. It is all black and white. It's basically it's basically like a video game coloring book. So the entire what?
No, I thought I knew what you were talking about.
Yeah, so it's called Chicory, and the entire world is in black and white. So it starts off in color, and then an event happens. The entire world loses color, and the main character, who is you, like you are the main character, you have this paintbrush that can restore color. You can restore as much as you want or as little as you want. There's also like different power-ups and puzzles that you can solve with the paintbrush. It's very cool. So I saw this probably like a year or two ago on a playthrough in one of the YouTube channels that I watch. Shout out to Secret Sleepover Society. So that's where I first saw this game, and they played through it. I didn't remember too much, but I remember seeing the game, and it was, I think I got it either on sale or something like last week. It just popped up for me, and I was like, oh, you know what? I'll grab it on Switch. I started playing it. It is way deeper than I remember because it deals completely with depression. It's actually a very like deep game. Like, and you don't get that from the beginning. Like, you don't get that from the front of the game. It just seems like a fun little like cozy game with some puzzles, but no, it's actually pretty deep and like dives into some heavy themes. So I'm gonna get into like slight spoiler stuff, but not too much. I won't give it away. I haven't finished it yet anyway. But the main title, Chicory, is actually the name of the hero in this land. You're like little character, you're like this little dog that is the janitor in Chicory's like estate. So Chicory was this chosen hero. There's that paintbrush that I mentioned kind of gets passed generation by generation to another chosen one, and it's up to them to keep the land safe and, you know, fill it with color and all that stuff. So in the beginning of the game, Chicory like doesn't want to come out of their room, and you don't find out till later it's because she's having an absolute mental breakdown. So she's having this mental breakdown because she's like not fulfilled in her life. You know, people see her as this awesome artist and like this great protector, but she doesn't think that she's good enough. She starts to lose her passion for being this artist and protector, and she kind of casts the brush aside. You as janitor, like, you just pick it up trying to like deliver it back to, you know, Chicory, and you go to her teacher to try and drop it off, and you end up kind of getting stuck with it. You find out throughout the game that Chicory's teacher was extremely harsh on her, and Chicory developed like this complex of like looking down on herself. She got a lot of depression, and then she started to like lose joy in life, and all these negative emotions have now personified themselves physically throughout the land. And now it's up to you to kind of save things, figure out how to like reverse all this stuff while also navigating your own self-doubt. So this dog character that you play as, like, her number one, or their number one hero was always Chicory. They always looked up to them. So now you're thrust into this role that you were not ready for, didn't think that you had, you know, the ability to take on, and you're going through a lot of self-doubt for yourself, and like also looking at your hero as like a human being and seeing all the downfalls that they have and helping them battle some very heavy depression. It's pretty intense for like what on the surface looks like this cozy game with like
at face value.
Yeah, you just think it's like this cozy game with some colors and puzzles, and that's it. But masterfully done, great storytelling. It's fun. It's not too hard. There's a lot of like little collectible things that you can get to kind of pad out the gameplay. But great game. Definitely recommend picking it up. And then the other two games that I have, I've only started playing one. Dave the Diver, another really big indie kind of release. It was all over Steam about a year ago, and it made its way to consoles. And that's another one that I got through Secret Sleepover Society. But great time. You play as a diver named Dave, and you are helping start like a sushi restaurant. So you dive into this huge like ocean abyss, you catch a bunch of fish, then there's like the second half of the day is setting up a menu and like building out this sushi restaurant. It's fun. It's a cool brain off game that has this really nice like 16-bit aesthetic and some just fun characters and storytelling. And then I got the game that everyone's been talking about for like the past year that finally came out. Oh my god, what is it called? It's that hermit crab game. I think it's Another Crab's Treasure. Yeah, Another Crab's Treasure. So yeah, it's a big thing. It's like this. It's a Souls like, and you are this little hermit crab at the bottom of the ocean, and you're fighting all these different sea creatures while getting new shells. One of the crazy things that came out of it was the developers shared that there's like an easy mode where your shell is a handgun. So you're under the water shooting at these like crazy like sea monsters and stuff. And it's a Souls game, but it's with these cartoon hermit crabs. So I got it. The aesthetic looked cool. I'm going to dive into it. I've heard great things about it, so I'm sure it'll be a fun time.
Okay.
And yeah, that's it. I mean, I've also dabbled with Delta and the emulator stuff, and I've also been back on Pokemon Go. They've been rolling out those updates that we talked about on last episode. So the latest one that I noticed was the character creation has become way deeper than before. I mean, it's not like some of these other games, but it's you can customize it with way more options now. The overall graphics have had a huge overhaul. The map layout, how everything looks, like there's different biomes, like it looks a little more realistic now. So it's been cool. Just if you were a Pokemon Go player or fan or whatever, I would suggest jumping back in. I think it's a good time for it. But yeah, I think that's it in terms of what I did this past week.
Cool beans.
So, all that being said, we will be doing an After Dark. So give us about 5-10 minutes. We're gonna put on the starting screen, then we'll jump back on. Yeah, we gotta freshen up before we come back. For everyone that doesn't know, the After Dark is now behind the Patreon subscription. So if you want to see it after the live stream, it'll be there. If you support us at the $5 tier, I think you get access to it. So you can still watch it live. It's still free on twitch.tv/theaveragejays every Tuesday at we do the regular show at 9 p.m. and then right after that we go into the After Dark. So it's still free to watch live, but watching the VODs after the fact will be a Patreon exclusive. And besides that, be good to each other. Remember, please like, share, follow, subscribe, comment everywhere. Our Instagram is the #1 place for our updates and for any type of socials, where we'll be either me and Jay or just one of us, wherever we are in terms of like cons, whatever we're pushing, like all that stuff is going to be going through our Instagram. So at The Average Jays Podcast is where you're going to find us on Instagram. And I think that's it. And like I said, for all the podcast listeners, we will be making some adjustments next week to the stream. So if you've been a listener for however long, you want to jump onto the stream, please come take a look at us there. Next week it will be our 100th weekly episode, and we're gonna have some nice new surprises for all the stream watchers. And The next place you can catch one of us, Jay, will be at Brooklyn Con June 8th and 9th. He will be there at a table for Sky Surfer Comics. So with that, we can call it an end to the stream, but we will be right back for our After Dark segment. So everyone watching the stream, don't go anywhere. We'll be back in a moment.
Don't you dare move.